So recently we've done a bit of horse trading strategies, we've done some football trading strategies, but today I'm going to come back to tennis. Now, don't click off if you don't like tennis trading straight away, because this one has got to be the most simple trading strategy I've seen for tennis yet. And it is fairly consistent as well. Your losses are not going to be huge, your profits could be huge. It's really nice and scalable. I don't see too many downsides to this. It is of course always key to really research all these strategies more than what I have done. I am just a beginner when it comes to all this stuff, so don't just copy this and then go for it. Do a bit more of your own research behind all the strategies and then get into it. I use smaller stakes on stuff like this as well, just because I'm a bit more comfortable with smaller stakes. But that being said, this is still a very nice, simple strategy to have a bit of a mess around with. But if you're new to the channel, please just be sure to hit the subscribe button and the like button. This is kind of what we do on this channel. We go through other strategies that people have recommended. We try them out as a beginner to see how easy they are to get the hang of. We do it with other websites as well, so not just football trading. But please do be sure to hit the subscribe button, make a big difference. And if you've got any requests yourself on something we should try out, then too, please let me know down below. But this strategy is called the Laying the Leader. It is very simple. So for example, if we just look over here at the tennis section, you want to find a tennis match where there is a favourite for the match, which is, to be honest, the majority of the time, there always is a favourite. So we're going to have a look at this match here, and this is actually quite helpful because it's already into the second set, which is really helpful to see. So if we just take a look and see who was favourite before this match started, you can see the pre-match favourite was actually Carlos Alcaraz, I believe you might say. So you can see down at below 1.5 odds before the match actually got started. Now, the reason this is key is because you're going to identify who the favourite is and then watch out the first set. You don't have to watch it all, just come back at the end, just in between the two sets, so you can get your bet matched if you want to. So you can see this guy was down at a 1.5 favourite. And then this is what you're looking out for. You need the favourite to lose the first set. You don't want it to be completely convincing. You want it to be close still, so it's not just like the favourites having an off day. It needs to be the match has just been a bit more competitive than the market expected. So you can see here, Carlos did lose the first set. And you'll notice what that does to the odds of him, essentially. And you can obviously expect the reverse on the other opponent. So you can see his odds skyrocketed, and Pierre Hughes, I believe, up here, his odds dropped massively. You can see how far off of a favourite he was at the start as well, but his odds dropped incredibly low. So once the underdog's odds have dropped massively, what you're then going to do is just lay the underdog, lay the leader, lay the person who is ahead in the match. And the reason you're going to do that is because obviously from this we could see how clear of an underdog this guy was. He has managed to win the first set, but only by the skin of his teeth. And then what you're going to want to do is either keep hold of that lay bet until hopefully Carlos either breaks Herbert's service, or until Carlos wins the second set, which you can see here happened. He lost the first set and then won the second, and if you'd have managed to get in and lay at that price, whatever it was down at, is a way we can check down here. So he actually got traded down as low as 1.3. So if we look at trying to see if we can possibly work out how much that would have got us. So if we'd have gone in with maybe a £10 liability there, you can see that we could have easily just then got out of the trade at around about here by getting a nice £13 out, or here, as you can see, actually over on the left hand side, it would have got us around £20 worth of profit. £20 worth of profit from £10 liability, that's 100% of your stake back as profit, which is quite mad for some of these trades. You don't normally see a return that huge. Now, of course, there is the possibility that Carlos doesn't get back into it and he loses out, and then you lose some money. The key with tennis is there will be different points throughout the match where you'll be able to get a little bit lower of a loss, a little bit, maybe even some profit from it all. And I've got some example trades to show you there as well. But this is just a perfect example here. No research done beforehand or anything like that. I've just loaded up the exchange, went to the first tennis match, and the favourite lost the opening set, and then won the second, and there's a quick nice bit of profit. And trust me, you won't believe how often this happens. I started looking at these the other day thinking it was going to take an absolute age to try and find a match where this happens. I've managed to find 3 or 4 of these matches, and there's one right there today as well. You just need to make sure you get there before the match to see who the favourite is, come back at the end of the set to see who wins, and if it's the underdog, you're going to lay the underdog. Sometimes you can even lay the favourite if the game looks a bit closer and competitive than you once thought. So this one here, for example, he was up at a high of nearly 10 at some points. If he's up that high and the first set was that competitive, it might be worth laying the favourite just for a few little serves, just to see if he can edge his way out of it and get you some profit there as well. But if we take a look here, you can see this is the first game that I looked at. Casper Ruud won the first set, and he was the underdog going into the game. Now, it was close. It was maybe not as close as the other one. As you saw, the other one was 7-6, this is 7-5. But we managed to get in and lay him at 1.13. We only put on £2 worth of liability. It's very low risk if you go in with the low stakes. And then the thing I would recommend when using this strategy is you wait for whoever breaks someone's service. So as soon as someone's broke the other person's service, you're then going to just cash out. It'll mean that your losses are fairly limited. Your return might not be as big as if you waited for them to win possibly the set or the match, but it just makes it a little bit easier and not just having in your mind that you're just going to, I'll just wait for an extra point, maybe you might get back into it and everything like that. It's just good to have a clearly defined exit point, and mine is always whenever someone breaks someone else's service, or whenever the profit looks nice as well. So you can see here, after 4 serves, everyone still won their own service, so we still kept going. You can see there as well, if we wanted to, you can just get out there for a nice break even if you didn't want to stay in anymore, or you were watching the match and you suddenly decided that this wasn't going to be profitable for you. There's always that opportunity in tennis. 3 serves in for each of the players, and you can see still it was sat at the same. But this is where it gets interesting. So you can see here straight away, Lorenzo hasn't even broke his full service. He's just got 1 point in there, and you can see how much of a difference that already makes. Just £2 worth of liability put in there, and nearly, what, a 30% return if we were to just cash out now after that 1 little point. It just shows how big sometimes the profit can be. It's just because of how much the odds drift from the favourites and how drastic the changes get in the markets with tennis. I don't understand why it's such a big drift, but it leaves for some great opportunities to get some profit in for yourself there as well. But you can see Casper Ruud does get back into it. Even goes 30-15 up, 40-15 up, but Lorenzo claws his way back. And you can see, if we just keep looking at this here, I believe he doesn't get the advantage there and he loses. But there's certain opportunities there where if you wanted to, you can just get out. There's no reason why you shouldn't. If you think that's a good opportunity for profit there, have your predefined exit points? Yes, of course. But if you ever want to leave a trade early before the exit, don't worry about that. If you think at a certain point that your profit is good enough, don't wait to potentially risk that. Just get out with it. I was tempted to do that here, but I thought I'd just stay in for a little bit longer, and that's what I did. And then you can see in the next service, things went the complete opposite way. Casper Ruud started to look like he might be about to break the service of Lorenzo. And you can see it roughly goes the same way. We're making about 60p profit. So what's that, 30% profit? Yeah, we're making about 30% profit when things were going our way. And then on the flip side, when things don't look like they're going to go your way, you're making about a 40% loss. So it keeps things nice and simple together there. It's a lot better than some of the football trades where you'll lose 60-70% of your stake, or the horse racing ones where you lose 100% of your liability. These ones are a bit more measured and a bit easier to be able to switch, but it is also a lot more fast paced, so you do need to keep that in mind. But again, luckily for us here with this trade, we managed to get back into it with Lorenzo, and he did manage to win his own break there as well. And then as it kept going, I think this here is the perfect opportunity to show you where it went 40 all, and I think he got an advantage. He did, but the advantage there came in, and I was at £1.86 profit. £1.86 profit from a £2 liability. I was getting a 92% return on our liability. Yes, it might have gone up when Lorenzo did actually break the service. I couldn't care less what happens after that, because at £1.86, nearly 100% profit, I thought to myself, I'm happy with that. So I did exactly what you'd expect I was going to do at this point, and I cashed out and managed to take my profit. So that's just a quick example there of how you can do that. Literally nearly 100% profit. Obviously I would have got more if I'd waited, but in my opinion it wasn't worth the risk of waiting. And that's just an example there of how, although at some points it looked like it was going the opposite way, you can still get some decent profit from these trades. But that's all you're going to do. In my opinion, that's the perfect entry and exit point for this strategy. You get in when the underdog wins the first set, and then you get out. No matter which way it goes, you get out once someone has broken the service. It's as simple as that. Straight in when the underdog's winning, straight out once someone else takes an advantage. Don't ever worry if it goes the other way. Just get out. I know there's always the opportunity you could stay in the market and possibly go on and get some extra profit from it instead of getting a loss, but it's the same with any trade. Just make sure you have set out in your mind before you get into the trade at what point you're going to leave it. Now, it does happen a lot more than you'd think with trades like this, with tennis matches I should say. There's also the opportunity that you could do this in between the second and third set, but I'd say it's probably not worth that, because if it then goes the other way for you, the losses are going to be a lot higher. I'd personally just recommend sticking at it with between the first and second set. It gives the favourite a lot more time to be able to get back into it. There's obviously loads of different ways you can implement this strategy. You could do it, maybe instead of doing it on a set-by-set basis, you could just do it from the off and maybe do it in between the actual services. So you saw multiple times there where Casper Ruud took the lead in his opponent's service. You could do that instead and keep it really micromanaged. But if you want to just be able to relax a little bit and have a bit more time to think about things, then this is definitely the way to go. And just to show you here some examples of when I was looking around and just doing some quick research, I was choosing some games, and I'd recommend you do this yourself as well if you're not fully confident going in with a stake yet. I was choosing some games, making note of what the odds were at the time and saying to myself, right, okay, I will get into the market at this point, and then watching how the match panned out and then seeing how much profit or loss I would have made in the end. You can do that if you want to be a bit more cautious when you're starting to learn trading. Just it helps out being able to kind of act along as if it was really happening and just see what would have happened and how you would have reacted. It's a bit easier to stay calm in them scenarios. But you can see here I would have, in this situation, laid Cameron Norrie after the first set, although I probably wouldn't over this one because of how much it looked like he dominated that first service, or the first set I should say. But then going into the second game, you can actually see that Felix got back into it and won. Now, in this situation, you can see that the odds haven't drifted that much. It's not actually gone too incredibly well. Like, you can see the odds are still fairly similar now. They don't know who's going to win. But you can obviously understand, based on how much Cameron Norrie won his first game, I should say, how high up them odds would have been. So there will still have been a huge drop there and huge potential for profit. I did this with a few games just to have a look around and get a feel of the strategy. So you can see there that's the same one there. But you can see there from that example, that is the Cameron Norrie odds as the game went on. So you can see he went quite low down once he won that first set, and then once he started to drift off, this is the point where we would have laid him. You can see huge potential for profit there in the match. But the strategy is really that simple. It is incredibly easy to learn, easy to get the hang of, and you're not going to make too many mistakes with it. Just make sure the one key aspect with this is you're laying the underdog. You need to have that favourite to get back into it. You can't do this when they're evenly matched or when the favourite really takes the lead and looks like they're dominating, because that way you are just putting it on a punt. At least when it's the underdog who's took the lead, you know through logic that realistically the favourites should be getting back into it. You're not really punting, you're kind of trying to predict instead. So I definitely recommend sticking with the guidelines for this. You might be able to find some tweaks here and there, and if you do, please let me know down below. But it is essentially a simple strategy, so don't try and overcomplicate things. Let me know if you've used this strategy before down below in the comments, and let me know if you've got any others you recommend me trying out. I'm definitely going to be doing some more exploring into some tennis strategies in the future. I'm going to try and do that trading strategy video for a week where I did before, where I'll do a trade every day and we'll see how much profit we can get in. I'm also going to look at doing some more higher stake trades, so if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button so we can get into it. I'm also going to do a live stream at some point over the next few weeks or months, and we'll do it on a weekend or during the Champions League night of football or something like that, and we'll just sit there, do some trades together as a group and see how things go. Maybe try out some strategies that might not work but might be a bit of fun. So let me know down below if that sounds interesting. Hit the subscribe button and the like button while you're down there. It will make the world a difference, and I'll see you next time.